My name is Tony Litt. I'm the MD of Sunrise Radio, and it's my immense pleasure to bring you the official Sunrise Radio podcast. We are the #1 commercial Asian station in the United Kingdom, with many firsts to our name, and we continue to be the voice of British Asians who have given us their love and loyalty over 30 years. It's a legacy we cherish and a responsibility that we don't take lightly. Our aim has always been to entertain the listeners with the best of Bollywood and Bhangra, while also addressing their concerns. A real voice for the community, a vibrant community, and a great nation. We are proud to be British and Asian. This podcast is a compilation of some of the things we do on the station, with a stellar lineup of presenters who each have their own personality and style. It's entertaining, informative, engaging, and we hope you will enjoy it here as a podcast if you are unable to tune in to the radio. Don't forget to subscribe and tell your family and friends about this podcast. And do leave us a comment on what you think. We'd love to hear from you. All the best always. Team Sunrise.
The UK's biggest station mix. Sunrise Radio.
Hi, this is Anushka Arora. As always, lovely to have your company for the Sunrise Radio podcast. And this week, I have another special guest on the show. Over to Armaan Malik then, and here we are as he speaks about his latest international humongous collaboration, Echo, his favourite K-pop artist, and also collaborating with his brother, Amaal, again.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
All good. How are you doing?
I'm good. What's happening?
But just busy now with the new release and then new songs coming out soon.
Yay!
Bollywood.
This is what we love to hear.
Finally.
Finally. First, Armaan, let's talk about lockdown. I mean, this is it's been quite a tough one, I think, this time round.
Yeah, this second wave has been really, really messed up, for everyone. We really didn't expect, we all expected a second wave to come. We didn't expect it to be so bad for India. Musicians, the industry, everyone's hit really badly. So just any kind of work coming out, any song coming out is like a blessing right now. So
yeah.
I'm really hopeful, but obviously we are taking it slow and trying to ease back into normalcy.
Of course. And talking of new songs, Armaan, let's talk about Echo. Humongous song, humongous response. Tell me first how it all came about.
Well, this is my first international collaboration. I remember talking to you about it a long time back. I never revealed what it was, but We've finally seen the day when international collaboration has come to life. This is a very unique collaboration. It was incepted a year back, but putting it together has almost taken 9 to 10 months because three Asian artists from different parts of the world came together, and we were coordinating everyone's time zones and whatnot to make this happen. But it's a beautiful collaboration, especially because I and all the other artists have amazing chemistry and mutual admiration for each other. I think that's when a collaboration actually works and looks and feels and sounds genuine.
Absolutely. I mean, it's got that very international feel to it as well. I mean, obviously, I've heard it a lot, but again, I was listening to it on my way in to the studio, and I was like, this just it sounds unreal, you know? But tell me...
Would you expect me to sing Hua Hai Aaj Pehli Baar and then sing this song?
Well, exactly. I mean, like I've always said to you, Armaan, you never fail to surprise us, and you're the gift that keeps on giving. The amazing thing is that all your songs just get bigger and bigger and bigger. And every time I think, okay, he can't do anything bigger than this now, come on. It's like you always just drop it. You're just like, actually, you know what? Here you go.
That's my thing. I always love surprising everyone, all my listeners. I don't open all my cards at once. I have like different cards for different phases and different songs. But I'm super excited about this record, especially because, it was the month of May when it released, and the month of May is when we celebrate Asian artists and Asian culture all around the world. So three Asians coming together on one song was really something that, a truly proud moment for all of us. And also as an Indian musician, this has never happened. I mean, an Indian pop and a K-pop kind of a collab with EDM, Kashmir adding his magic to it. I think it's the first time something like this has happened.
Yeah, I was going to say actually, because Eric is obviously of Korean descent, and we know like these K-dramas, K-pop, it's just like on a completely different level. Do you have any favorites in terms of K-pop?
I mean, there are so many bands and so many solo acts right now from K-pop that are just killing it. I mean, BTS is smashing it globally right now.
Yeah.
My personal favorite actually is EXO. I've been following them for quite some time now, and I really love everything that they put out. BTS is amazing as well. I love their music, especially the English music that they're putting out now, like Dynamite and stuff like that, is very cool.
Yeah.
So I think K-pop's really having its moment globally, and I feel now it's time for India to kind of have its global moment, and I feel like it's just begun. Probably Echo could be one of the first starting points for this movement to happen.
So I really hope it is. I mean, you're right. I think it is about time that Indian pop music had its own wave globally. I think that is where it's heading. And kudos to you for starting it out. And hopefully this is not going to be the end. What I find really amazing about you is that you do different things. You always, you have your Bollywood stuff, then you have your Indian pop stuff, and now you've given this. Who would have thought? I never saw this coming. But in a way, I feel like, it makes sense that you did it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've always envisioned myself as a global, pop singer. And, I mean, I don't like being slotted into like one box. That's not my thing. I've always wanted to, do different things. And because I know that I'm like a musical chameleon inside of me. I love like trying different things and like blend in. So, I mean, I do Telugu songs, Tamil songs, and all the South Indian stuff, and Bengali stuff as well, and then there's Hindi music, which is film and non-film both. And then there's this English pop, R&B kind of stuff that I'm doing internationally. For me, it's never been, I don't like limiting myself as an artist. I want to flow with what I feel and how I feel in the moment, and this is what I'm feeling very strongly right now. And I've always dreamt of taking Indian artists and Indian music kind of like global, because growing up I never had any pop star idol, be like, okay, this is the idol I have from India who's killing it globally. We never had that. I mean, there's of course composers like Armaan Malik and Ricky Cage and all these people who have done stuff and have received recognition internationally, but there's never been like Beyonce or a Justin Bieber or a Lady Gaga or whatever from India going on a global scenario of things. And I was like, why is that so? Why is that not happening? If no one's doing it, I'm doing it. I don't care.
Exactly.
That's my attitude.
No, of course. And hats off to you for doing that. But Armaan, what is next for you? Like, you've done the whole billboard. You've reached Times Square. You've collaborated with, a K-pop artist. Where do you go from here? Like, what do you want to do? And what are your goals?
Honestly, the thing is, as soon as I achieve something huge and unbelievable, the next day I'm back into my studio cooking up something new and want to do something bigger and better. So for me, it never stops. I mean, I feel like I'm still on the journey and I've just begun. I feel like one part of my career is kind of like one phase is done. I feel like this is phase 2 in a way. The phase 1 was the whole Bollywood thing, the regional music, which is definitely going to seep into phase 2 as well. But I see myself kind of doing stuff internationally, globally, and just not limiting myself to just film music. As an artist, I feel like I have so much in me that I want to say and do. And for me, there's always going to be something interesting to do next. It's not going to just be another single or another album or whatever. It's always going to be something bigger and better than last time.
Wow.
So, I have a lot of goals and aspirations. I want to sell out Madison Square Garden and Wembley Stadium.
Now we're talking. Now we're talking.
So I'm manifesting all these amazing things for myself, and I'm working towards those dreams. So hopefully we get there soon.
Well, I have personally seen a lot of your dreams come true over the years, Armaan, and I just keep hoping and keep praying that all your dreams keep coming true. You're absolutely killing it. I say this to you every time, but honestly, bowing down to you right now, Armaan. I just can't wait until you come here and just perform so we can all go crazy all over again.
I know. I'm actually planning. I'm planning a show soon for London.
Ooh.
I mean, obviously, it's just about timing right now. It's just to time the show right when everything is safe and everyone's healthy and they can attend a public concert. But I mean, the first international spot that I really want to do a show in is definitely London. And I can't wait to be back there with all the new songs that I've sung all these years that I've been away. So, it's going to be amazing. I can't wait to meet all my fans out there who now have my English songs and pop songs in their in their playlists as well. So it's going to be such a trip, from Bollywood to pop music to everything in between. It's going to be amazing.
It really is. It is quite amazing, Armaan. I can't let you go without asking you, what new songs have you got coming up?
There's so many that are coming out, and one's already actually. I don't know if you've heard "Kya Kiya Hai Toone." That's a song that just came out last week from Broken But Beautiful.
Broken But Beautiful. I was talking about the song on the show yesterday, actually. That's a lovely song,
And there's another one coming, which I'm really excited about, which is called Kya Yahi Pyar Hai, which is actually the remake of the original by Kishore Da.
Oh, wow.
So that is something that I'm really looking forward to, and it's Amaal and me again. So,
best combination ever.
People really look forward to that combo. So I think it's going to be fire. I can't wait to put that out there. It's actually been 5 years in the making. That song it's coming out now. So I'm so excited because it's completely different. When you talk about remakes, and a lot of people actually have this thought about how remakes are happening right now. I'm myself also as an artist, we got to a point where we why is so many remakes happening? And actually we had done this for long back, and it just didn't happen to release at that point. But the way that this has been remade, you won't expect anything. You won't expect this kind of tonality for the song. So I'm super excited for this song.
Well, the expectations are high since it is a Mallik brothers all over again. I'm not going to lie. So I can't wait to hear it. Do we have a release date for that as of yet?
All I can say is the release date is very soon.
Okay. Well, I can't wait for it, and I'm sure we'll see it really, really soon as well. Thank you, Armaan. Thank you so much. You look after yourself. Stay safe. Lots of love to the family, and plan that London show really soon.
You too. Take care. Lots of love. Yes.
Lots of love.
Come, very soon to London.
Take care. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Listen to our Bollywood queen, Anushka Arora, from 12 noon to 4 p.m. weekdays on Sunrise.
The Bhangra Showdown with Ameet Chana.
I enjoyed it. I had such a cool intro for you, buddy. Had a really cool intro talking about the fact that we are doing Retro Weekend here on Sunrise Radio, 70s, 80s and 90s. And although your career is spanning 30 years, 3 decades, it not necessarily reflect on the 70s one. But I'm sure musically, your musical journey started towards the tail end of 70s, right?
Yeah, it did, yeah. Well, my journey kind of started while I was still at school, while I was finishing school, mid-70s.
Right.
And, I was really getting into music at that time with a mate of mine and started singing. He introduced me to a harmonium, which I borrowed off him for a couple of days and ended up keeping for 2 years. But, that was my introduction. And then early 80s, I met up with Danny and Charlie.
Yep.
The D and the C from DCS.
The D and the C from DCS. And that is a classic story in itself, man. But then, obviously, what kind of music were you listening to in the mid-70s when your musical career started? Because you've made a huge name in Punjabi music, but surely you weren't necessarily listening to Punjabi and Bhangra music then?
No. I was into Bollywood.
Right.
Yeah. I was a big-time Bollywood buff. My all-time hero, which a lot of people know, is Mohammed Rafi. Mm-hmm. Right, and I've grown up listening to him all my life. My dad was a big Bollywood film buff, and every weekend we'd be down in the cinema halls, the whole family, My uncles would be there, my chacha, everybody would be there, all the kids would be there. And we'd be eating samosa, eating crisps, drinking Coke, and watching 2 or 3 films on one ticket back in the day, at the local cinema halls. And I remember Ruffy's was the first voice. I used to love the music in the films in the 60s, when I was a kid, in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
And Ruffy was the guy. He was the main man for me all the time. He was the voice of the big stars in the 60s and then in the 70s as well. You know, he had some super hit tracks. And he's the guy that I followed all the time because he was just an amazing singer.
Yeah.
And I remember I used to hum along to his songs when I was a kid. And believe it, I learned to speak Hindi and I learned to speak Punjabi, singing Punjabi as well, by listening to Ruffy's songs, his Punjabi songs. He's got such a massive Punjabi repertoire as well, as you know.
He has, and what's really interesting, because I know, certainly I was introduced to you, like, musically as the band DCS, but over the years as I've got to know you and I've watched you outside of the kind of daytimers and the Bhangra nightclubs that we used to go to, I've seen you perform so many times beautifully, acoustically, more so that stimulates me the most when I watch you, is when you are singing Rafi Saab songs, and Kishore Da as well. I know you go right across the board. But let's talk about your first memories and introduction to Punjabi music then, as we know it. What was your first memories of that?
Of Punjabi music? Well, I'll tell you how we got into Punjabi music. So I'll tell you that story.
Yeah.
Okay. We had just finished making an album called DCS with Runa Lela, which was our first disco pop album at the time, because this Nazia Hassan was massive. The film Kurbani had a massive track in it. Aap jaisa koi meri zindagi mein aaye.
Yeah.
So baat ban jaye, baat ban jaye. Everybody knew that. Everybody knew that.
Yeah.
Massive hit all over. And we had a record deal with a record company called EMI, gramophone company, right? They were based in Southall, on the outskirts of Southall at that time. And we had just finished recording this album with them, and we were in their offices, and it was an evening. And they said, "Well, do you want to come to a show with us tonight?" And we said, "Yeah, okay, why not? Let's go and see this show."
Yeah.
And it was in the London area somewhere, close to Southall somewhere, in a leisure centre, right?
Right.
And we went down there, and I remember there was me, Danny, and Charlie. We went there with the guys from the record company, and there's a load of people all standing around this leisure centre, right? And on stage, there's a band set up. There's no band on stage yet.
Yeah.
And we're standing around, and everybody's having drinks and just chilling out. Then these guys come on stage, right? And most of them are wearing white clothes, right? And then this guy comes on stage in the middle, got a scarf around his neck, right? No guessing who that would be, right?
You know who it is. Yeah.
And, well, it was a LARP, right?
Yeah.
It was a LARP.
Yeah.
And it was John New scarf around his neck. And I remember at that time, a couple of weddings I'd been to, and Pabbi was a song that had just been released, and it was becoming massive at that time. And we finally realised we were going to see a LARP perform, right? And believe me, Amit, the first chord that they hit, right, the first note that they made, all the people that were standing around just doing nothing were on the dance floor, right? And all the dance moves were coming out, and all the backward Bhangra dancing and everything, you know. It was great. Everybody just went lattu, right? They went crazy.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on? And me, Danny, and Charlie just looking at each other's faces and thinking, whoa, what is going on, right? And that gig actually blew me away.
Yeah.
And it's the first time we were introduced to really hardcore Bhangra in that form. Because the kind of Bhangra I'd heard before was like very mellowed down Bollywood style Bhangra stuff, you know, by Ruffy and, you know, those filmy songs, which are not like your pure hardcore kind of in your face Bhangra.
Yeah.
And that's the first time I heard it being played that way.
Yeah.
And we were blown away. And on the drive home from London that night, we kind of made a decision in that car. We said, right, we're going to record a Bhangra album, right? And we got back to Birmingham, and the next week we were in the studio and recording a Bhangra album.
And what album was that?
That was Teri Song.
Teri Song, right? Because then you had you had Red
Which
Rose,
was
you
that-
had Cricketer for the film and all that, and then of course DCS 1, 2, 3 Go was the seminal album that everyone kind of remembers, and that was my introduction to DCS. And in terms of those Bolia, that particular track that became Tenu Kol Ke Sharab Vich Pilama, all that kind of mayhem that started with that. And I have to say, Shin Paji, I've probably told you this in a drunken state before, but your band was probably the first ever kind of Bhangra band that I fanboyed on, because even just a couple of weeks ago we were having a clean out and I found a DCS OU1 t-shirt, and I have kept that t-shirt from day dot. And I still remember when you gave me that t-shirt. It was at Zenith nightclub in Park Royal, and you guys had just performed, and the album had just come out, and I was with Sanj and Amit, of course, of Executive and Bad Company. You gave me that t-shirt, and I still have it. It's a little bit yellow, it's gone off-white now, but I've kept it. And OU1 was another game-changer album for me. Earlier, just now, I played Le Ja Pyar Nishani from Punjabi Dance Nation. Just fits into that 90s thingy. I mean, for you, what's been your most seminal album as the incarnation of DCS?
Well, I think it has to be 1, 2, 3 Go, really.
Right.
Because we did, like I said, before that we did Teri Song, and we did an album called Ao Nachalo, right? Now, these two albums were like kind of an experimental training ground for us.
Yeah.
Like our initiation. We were learning the craft of Punjabi music, right? What we did with 1, 2, 3 Go was then we started to fuse a lot of our Western influences that we had within the band, within the members of the band, into what we were doing. So that album turned out to be a very like synthy kind of synthesized album with heavy rock guitars in it and electronic drum beats and stuff. And we started messing around with reggae beats and pop beats and the U2 kind of guitar sounds that were around at that time. And people loved it. The fusion, the kind of fused sound that we created and experimenting with the Bhangra beats, it just caught on, right? It just caught on with the youth at that time, with the young generation. And people just loved the sound that we were making, and they connected with it. And I remember when there was a gig at the Dome once. I think it wasn't one of the Pop Awards. There was another gig going on at the Dome nightclub in Birmingham, which was the main venue.
Know it well.
And we had just recorded Tenu Kol Ke Sharab, which had not been released at that time. And we spoke to the DJ who was on the desk at the time, and we just, look, will you play this track? We just want to experiment, see what kind of response it gets. And the DJ played the track. He announced it's the next DCS track coming out, right? And I remember the crowd going just absolutely crazy.
What did he play it on?
We realised that...
What did you hand him the track on? Was it a cassette? Did you hand it to him?
It was a cassette.
No way! Wow.
Cassette tape. It was on a cassette tape. And he just plugged it in, and he played it, and the crowd went wild. And we realised at that time, we said, we're onto a special formula here. We've got a formula that's going to work with the sound that we're making and the kind of songs that we're going to record.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because around that time, of course, just after that album, you had albums and bands like Pardesi and Achanak and all that all synthesized their sound from that point. What were the bands that you used to love watching after or before you'd been on Shin Paji? Were there bands around that time that you were like, you know what, I'm sticking around to watch so-and-so? Who were those?
Yeah, you know, I am a big fan of all the bands, right? Because they all have their unique sound, their unique style, right, and their own kind of music signature, which you don't get nowadays.
No,
you know, I really miss that stuff, right? And the bands that really caught my interest were bands like Alart, for instance. They were such brilliant musicians. Everybody knows that, right? The best musician in the industry. And bands like Sahotas really caught my interest as well because of their unique style. And they never shifted from that style no matter what happened. They always had that raga influence coming through in their music.
They did.
And then you got bands that experimented a lot, bands like Achanak, bands like Pardesi. You know, people who wanted to push the boundaries with the music and with the style of songs that they were producing, you know. And then obviously, you know, the bands like the Brembi Boys, bands like Apna Sangeet, who are just raw, in your face. Desi Punjabi music, you know, and I'm just a fan, a big fan of Bhangra music and music in general, you know, and I'm the kind of guy who will stay to the end until I've seen all the artists that are going to play and perform. because I just love them all.
You and me both, man. You and me both. And I think that's why we get on so well as well, other than the fact that there's a beautiful amount of admiration that comes from me to you, just watching you as a musician and artist. I always loved watching you. I loved watching your band, people like Reminiscing and Popsy and all those guys as well. Great band. DCS probably had one of the tightest bands on the live circuit at that time. It's really interesting. In the last 10 minutes, we've been through a journey of almost 3 decades already, and I could go on talking to you forever. Before I let you go, Shin, one of the reasons I wanted you to come on today is because we are on a retro weekend, and we are going through the 70s, 80s and 90s, and we only have one Punjabi Bhangra show on the station here at Sunrise, and it's this one. And so I would love for you, if you could, to just give me a few lines of any song that you want to sing of DCS, just preferably one of your more mellow ones from the earlier days rather than more recent.
A mellow one, right? Okay. I've got my baja here as well. So
wicked.
I'm just going to grab my baja. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it.
Yeah, we can hear it.
This is a song that it was an unplugged song that I did on an album called Punjabi Dance Nation. Yeah, it was with vocal and piano.
Yeah.
And it's a song called Labade Utte Janak.
Yeah.
Labade Utte Janak. Labade Utte Janak ki, Labade Utte Janak ki, Ajay Mukhiya na teriyan जुदाइयां लबादे उत्ते जानत की मिलिया की दस तेनू दिल मेरा तोड़ के गमा दे तमंदरा के आप हदी रोड़ के चल हुंदिया ना सजना जुदाइयां लबारे उत्ते जानत की के हजे मुकिया ना तेरियां जुदाइयां लबारे उत्ते जानत की लबारे उत्ते जानत की
Kya baat hai, sir ji. Wow, what an amazing... And actually, funny enough, still to this day, I listened to that song back to back, because you did a Hindi version of it as well on the album.
Oh, we did, yeah.
And I still, to this day, that album for me has just been like back to back. I play it non-stop from beginning to end. Boy Chana's on here, Rishi Rich is on here. Loads of people sending love, people saying I missed hearing your voice. Apaji, it's been an absolute pleasure to spend some time with you.
Thank you.
Hopefully very soon we hear some music releasing. We'll get you in the studio, we'll have a proper chat, and we'll have a chinwag. And hopefully one day soon we'll see you back on the stage in the theatres as well.
I hope so, mate. I'm so peed off with this COVID thing. We need to get back in, definitely.
Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Give my love to your family, brother. Best wishes always. Take care. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, live and direct, on air and on Insta Live. The one and only, the legendary frontman of the band DCS. It is Shin DCS, and what a pleasure it was to have him on air. You can sign off, sir. I will catch you very, very soon.
Join Ameet Chana every Saturday from 4 p.m. for the Bhangra Showdown, playing you the finest in Punjabi and Bhangra music from the past, present and future.
This is Anila Dhami on Sunday.
Now, let's take you through the paper review, the stories of the day, as we do every week. And I am joined now by Ruth Cadbury, Labour MP for Brentford and Isleworth, and Tony Devenish, Conservative London Assembly Member for West Central. Good morning to you both.
Good morning, Anila.
Thank you very much for joining us and taking us through the stories. Let's start with you, MP Cadbury, on with your story from The Observer.
Well, the Observer is covering the issue about whether Boris Johnson's chaos could hit the June plan to lift lockdown, as reported in The Observer today. And we've been obsessing about June the 21st, when all restrictions will be lifted. But Keir Starmer's very clearly warning that plans to lift the restrictions could be put at real risk because of the incompetence and as he says, the civil war inside Johnson's government. I've seen locally how that spun out, because Hounslow was announced by Matt Hancock as being an affected borough with a higher degree of infections in Parliament on Wednesday of last week. And yet, even by the Monday, we still haven't been told about the travel restrictions, which had been slipped out in a website. Our council leaders, our directors of public health, have no idea what they're supposed to be doing in this higher status category. And there's just one local example of the incompetence, the lack of communication, when the reality is it's people on the ground, health service workers, council workers, who are trying to do their best to reduce infection and support communities during this COVID pandemic.
Does Labour support the lifting of all restrictions on June 21st?
But the restrictions should only be lifted if infection rates are down and if it's safe to do so.
And I do wonder, I mean, Tony, I want to bring you in, because do you think that actually Dominic Cummings's hearing has come perhaps a little too early or at the wrong time, just before these restrictions are set to be lifted, and actually perhaps it is causing chaos and there does need to be clear direction, which is what MP Cadbury is saying?
No, I don't. And I think The Guardian, obviously The Observer, always takes the Labour Party line. Let's go back to basics. This has been a terrible time, not just for our country, but for the world. Many, many people have died, including over 128,000 people in our country. And we should start by paying tribute to the NHS. And Ruth is right on one thing. Local councils with the NHS and the community and our government have done a fantastic job. Of course, there has been problems. This is an unprecedented global pandemic, and you can look at any country and see there has been, as the Observer says, chaos, but I think that's the wrong word. The reality is a lot of work is being done, and the NHS talk daily to government, as do local authorities and community groups, and we all want to get out of this pandemic as soon as possible. But I think the government's done the right thing in the responsible way they've dealt with this. And as in Mr. Cummings, that is a Westminster Village thing. I've just spent 3 months campaigning for the mayoral and GLA elections, 2 months on the doorstep. Only one person mentioned Dominic Cummings. This is about actually far more serious issues.
More people might mention him now after the hearing, because the GLA, the campaigning was before the hearing took place. So yes, I'm sure it will be on people's minds more, especially considering some of the allegations within that hearing. And even let's take just very simply the lockdown. When we locked down on the 23rd of March, the World Health Organization had declared it a global pandemic a few weeks before that. So people can very much see that actually, we locked down perhaps far too late, considering the information the government had.
Look, people will decide that themselves. There will be a full inquiry at the end of this. Obviously, the Observer and the Guardian are very partisan. They always want to put the wrong view about my government. But the reality is, this is about actually getting over this huge global crisis, which has still, many weeks or many months to run in certain parts of the world. And in the UK, remember, we are ahead of the curve. It has been a great story in terms of the vaccination rollout. 39 million people have had their first dose. 24 million pounds have had their second dose. I am hugely proud of what the NHS, local authorities and the government and community has done. But yes, there are lessons to learn, and everybody's right to ask those. But I think Keir Starmer is being far too negative, and I think his negativity is why the Labour Party is doing so badly in opinion polls and at election.
Well, talking of opinion polls, according to Opinion Research, the Conservative lead has dropped to 6% in the polls, so it's currently at 42%, with Labour at 36%. Boris Johnson has gone from a plus 6% personal rating to a minus 6%, and 44% of people think Matt Hancock should resign. What do you say to that?
I say the only opinion polls that ever count are elections. We just had a set of elections across the country, the biggest set of elections since the general election. and my party in most parts of the country did far better than Ruth's party. But we should always listen to the great British public, and this government is always looking to do better, as is my party.
Let's come to your next story in the Sunday Telegraph. This is fresh questions for Hancock over care homes.
Look, the care home issue to do with COVID is close to all of our hearts. My own mother went into a care home literally a month before COVID. She spent her whole 90th year in a care home. So I, Anila, are very sensitive to this kind of story. Look, it's similar, though, to the previous story. The reality is people can pick out so-called facts and statistics and then try and make a political case. The reality is we need the full inquiry at the end of COVID. These are the most vulnerable people in our society. And as I say, you know, not just my own mother, but friends, family, and the wider community. I've been dealing with this as a local councillor and assembly member during the whole COVID period. So, you know, I will reflect on what this says, but this is just a Sunday newspaper story. We need the full inquiry, and people can pick statistics out with hindsight, as Keir Starmer is nicknamed Captain Hindsight because he just does that all the time. But the reality is, clearly, our most vulnerable are our number one concern. That's why Ruth and I went into politics.
I want to come back to this story about this from the Sunday Telegraph about fresh questions from Hancock over care homes. And Tony, we were talking... In this article, it says Mr. Hancock insisted he had simply committed to delivering that testing when we could do it on the basis that the government was unable to carry out sufficient numbers of tests at the time, but the guidance fails even to recommend the use of tests in hospitals where they were available. There's been this kind of fine line between the fact that Matt Hancock had proposed this, or said it and committed to it, but actually it wasn't policy and therefore he hasn't done anything wrong.
I think the issue is that March of last year, we forget, it's an awful long time ago. A huge amount has been done by our NHS, by local authorities, by the community and by the government since then. With hindsight, of course, we can say we could have done better on X issue or Y issue. I haven't got the facts in front of me any more than you have, but there will be a national inquiry. The Prime Minister's already agreed there will be a full inquiry on every aspect of COVID at the end of COVID. You know, a newspaper front page on a Sunday is just that. It's chip paper for tomorrow. I haven't got anything else I can really add other than clearly... Although
the reason we have programmes like this and to talk through these stories is that people can be informed and they know what's going on, they know what's being said. Some things might be reports. This is, some things are quotes directly from the ministers. But people, even though, they might not be talking about it and it's all hindsight or accusations, allegations or whatever, people have a right to know about what's going on and to feel informed. And when that inquiry does come, they actually know what's been happening in the process of that and in the build-up to it.
Well, of course, absolutely. We want to, I'm a great believer in a free press. All I'm saying is we haven't got all the facts. This is just a newspaper report on a Sunday. We don't have the named people. It's as often it is in these stories. It's people saying things completely out of context.
Tony,
I have no idea.
Let's take the politics. Let's take the politics out of it because you said about your mother in the care home. Something like that. When you heard that, what did you think? Because fine, you don't know the facts, but what was the initial feeling?
Well, the feeling is the feeling that I think we've all had in society, in our communities for the last year and a quarter, which is we need to do the best to protect the most vulnerable. A lot of people have died. A lot of families are grieving. Absolutely. It is all we need to do must be done. And I believe the NHS has done a fantastic job. Clearly, as I said earlier, mistakes and in hindsight, things may have been done differently. But this is a global pandemic. There's no country that anybody can point to and say they did it perfectly. And the reality is our care homes must always, as our NHS as a whole, must always be our first priority. And I know it's this government's priority.
Abdullah's messaged in from Wilmslow and has said he thinks the government imposed lockdown too late last year, but the most vital mistake was not closing the UK's borders. He says this is a mistake the government keep making as we're now seeing a rise in the Indian variant cases. He also says he was shocked by the protest yesterday and jeopardising the reopening on June the 21st. Abdullah, thank you for messaging in. Tony, I guess, do you want to respond to that?
Yes, look, I mean, I think the difference between actually our part of the country, actually central and West London, and many other parts of the country is we all have pretty much family and friends, very close family and friends that live overseas. So just to say close the borders would absolutely, for some family, it would be absolutely catastrophic. So it's about, obviously, a balancing act. And I think the Home Secretary, Priti Patel, has done that quite well during the crisis. Of course, people will say we should have shut the borders 3 or 4 days earlier or for X, just like your point earlier in terms of what we should be doing about care homes. The reality is these are judgments, and medical professionals, those in the COVID team, the NHS, are very much central to the decisions that ultimately government ministers have been making.
Thank you for responding to our listener, Abdullah. Cam from Birmingham says that she disagrees with Ruth and wants the June reopening to go ahead as planned. She says people need to get back to work to be able to support themselves. MP Cadbury, what do you say to that?
Well, let's remember what the primary purpose of lockdowns and restrictions is, and that's to protect the NHS in order to be able to support us, whether we've got COVID or whether we've got other illnesses and health needs. So if infection rates start rising again, the NHS won't be able to cope again. And how many million people are waiting for urgent operations and cannot afford yet another lockdown. So I don't want us to go back to lockdown. Obviously not. But if it's to protect our health as a country, then we have to do that. And this flip-flopping by government, this balancing act that Tony mentions, the trouble is our government can't decide whether it wants to be strict and competent over managing the pandemic or not. And the UK infection rate is one of the highest in the world, and other countries have managed the pandemic much better. Clear decision-making, clear communications, population buy-in. And
which country, Ruth?
And actually, can I just finish? Actually, most of the British population, the majority do support levels of restrictions where they are rational and properly informed. So if in the long term we are healthier. Of course, we've been luckier than most other countries with the rollout of the vaccination programme, and that's probably the one element of the government's response to this pandemic that has worked properly, mainly because it's been delivered by the NHS and has been properly using the local organisations, local councils, and the community. But if you look at countries that have had very, very strict border policies, but have had virtually no change of their way of life, and the obvious examples being Australia and New Zealand. Children haven't missed school in those countries. Businesses haven't suffered because they haven't had to be closed down. Now, it's a moot point whether the UK, although we're an island, whether we could have a stricter border policy. But many of my constituents work at Heathrow. They have had to work in environments which are, I would say, super spreading places, overcrowded arrival halls with people from red list countries in the same arrivals halls as those from amber and green countries, long queues in poorly ventilated rooms, and the quarantine hotels, which are appallingly badly managed in the UK compared with quarantine hotels in other countries. And I know of infections rising among those who are quarantined, but also those who work in those hotels. Again, poorly managed, poor communication, lack of clear decision making, and much of that decision making too late.
I mean, Tony, I'll let you respond.
I think the issue is that Keir Starmer's Labour Party haven't got any answers. It's negativity, negativity, negativity. For Ruth to say that we've been lucky with the vaccination rollout is frankly disgraceful. The reality is the NHS professionals and government and local authorities have done a fantastic job. It's not lucky. It's about huge amounts of work by people that live in her constituency and mine, and people right across this country. It's been an amazing achievement for all of those involved. That's not a party political point. That is a point that most people absolutely agree with.
I'll bring MP Cadbury in.
If the test and trace programme had been run as competently as the vaccine programme, we wouldn't have had so many deaths of COVID.
I think, that again is a disgraceful comment, really. The reality is it's hindsight again, and I in no way play down any of the deaths. It's been a terrible period for everybody in this country and globally. But the reality is, as I've said before, I think that together, the RNHS has done a brilliant job. This is not a party political point. I think they've done a fantastic job. And yes, there are lessons to be learned on test and trace and many other elements. But for Ruth to just be throwing political footballs at a time when we're still in COVID, people are still losing their life. And we need to get over this crisis by working together. And we want a responsible opposition. And the Labour Party, I'm afraid, actually, it's Mr Keir Starmer that's been irresponsible. Local authority Labour councils have been very good.
In what way?
Keir Starmer's been raising concerns about many of these issues from the beginning. I mean, the rise... back in May... last year, he was raising concerns about the rise of infections in care homes. In September, Shadow Minister Liz Kendall wrote to the government about the second peak of deaths in care homes. I mean, if you actually check out all of these issues, you will find that Keir Starmer and Labour shadow ministers have been again and again raising these points at the beginning in Parliament.
I do have a message, Tony, for you from our listener Manohar from London, who disagrees with your hindsight argument. He says the UK had 2 months to prepare for the pandemic and lots of obvious mistakes have been made that cost lives, such as not testing people released from hospitals back into care homes. What do you say to that?
Look, as I said a couple of times, we must think about those that have died and their families and friends. And I in no way are underplaying what has happened. It has been a terrible time in this country and across the world. And of course, those issues that your listener mentions will be, of course, front and centre of the review, the inquiry at the end of this. But I remember very well myself that really, even in March, people didn't realise what was coming. They really didn't. And I've spoken to people from the top of government right through to the NHS and others. And, these issues will be looked at very, very carefully, quite rightly. But I do disagree with the greatest respect to your listener.
Thanks for responding.
I'm afraid I disagree with Tony. I mean, I remember that time. I remember I had family in different countries thinking, are they going to come home? Watching what was happening in different countries, thinking, why aren't we locking down? Why is the Cheltenham Festival going ahead? We could see the decisions other countries were making. We could see the rise in infections back then, and we locked down 2-3 weeks too late.
And of course, I've been working on this story since the January when the first case was reported, and in China. So, I'm very much aware that it was the alarm bells were being raised, and it does raise a question about the World Health Organization. I'm jumping stories a bit because we've only actually got a few minutes left. And in the Sunday Times, this story about Wuhan lab leak is feasible, say British spies. So intelligence fears grow of Chinese cover-up. British agents now believe it is feasible that the global pandemic began with a coronavirus leak from a Chinese research laboratory. At first, they thought there was a remote chance of it. Now they've reassessed. and think it's feasible, according to sources who have revealed this. And I just wonder, because obviously it has been looked into. The World Health Organization, officials went to Wuhan. They assessed it. Nothing really became of that. The G7 summit's coming up. I just want to get your views on whether you think that in that summit there needs to be some kind of a push for perhaps to hold the World Health Organization to account, or some kind of international body where the alarm bells are raised much quicker than they were in this case.
Well, can I come in first, Anila? I would agree with what you said there, but I would like to say something on the wider context, please. I do worry that we're going into a bit of a Cold War at the moment, both with China and with Russia and with Iran. And the reality is, this is a report. Remember, the last Labour government had the famous dodgy dossier with Alistair Campbell on the Iraq war. What intelligence sources say is just that. It is something, again, with the respect, reported in a newspaper. So I do think we need to watch how China is behaving in many of the things they're doing aggressively.
MP Cadbury, I'll bring you in.
Can I just say, we don't want to in any way be spreading things that could turn into racism in our own society against people of Chinese origin, for example. We've got to be very, very careful and sensitive. Okay. This is just a report.
MP Cadbury, I'll bring you in. We've got about 30 seconds.
Well, obviously, I think this does warrant international investigation. But we've all become virologists in the last 15 months, and what we do know about the way viruses spread among human population, whatever the source, we are at risk of pandemics, and we know about SARS and Ebola and so on. And the UK had the second best pandemic contingency plan of any in the world, and yet our government seemed to have ignored it as soon as infections started rising in this country early last year. And whatever the source of COVID, we could have and we should have, and we were ready to respond a lot better than, in fact, we did in the UK.
Thank you both for your time this morning. We've come to the end of this hour and the paper review. Thank you very much for getting involved.
Thank you very much.
Tune in every Sunday, 10 a.m. to 12 noon for Anila Dhami on Sunday, giving the British Asian community a voice on the matters of the day.
The UK's biggest Asian mix. Sunrise Radio.
You're tuned to the Love Lounge with the Love Doctor. I have got someone incredible lined up on the phone. We're going to get flirty at 8:30. In fact, let's do it right now.
Calling all singles. Are you ready to get flirty at 8:30? Message the studio now and let the Love Doctor of Sunrise help you find love.
And we have someone on the phone right now. She's called It. I nearly just called you It. Sorry. I meant to say she's called Nikita. How you doing, my lovely?
I don't mind it. I think some people might get nightmares, though.
Oh my God, I don't think I've ever called anyone It before, but there's always a first.
How rude.
I know, right? Wait, I'm just going to slap my wrist. There you go. On your behalf.
Good. So, how are you today, Amit?
Are you interviewing me? That's as good. I don't mind. I could be the interviewer. I'm very well, thank you. Shall I get flirty at 8:30? Listen, it's lovely to have you here, Nikita. Tell everyone where you're from.
I'm from Wembley in London.
Oh, my old hood as well. I used to live in Wembley. And how long you been there?
Since birth.
Since birth?
Born and bred.
Born and bred in Wembley. Nice. I like it. Well, listen, right? How this is going to work is we're going to ask you some very simple questions to get to know you better. Be as flirty as you want, and we're going to put the word out there and see if there's any gentlemen out there listening in who think, she sounds kind of nice. I'll get in touch, and who knows?
Wow.
You could be, Nikita, just think about it this way. You could be our first Sunrise wedding. How cool would that be to have the Love Doctor as your wedding celebrant, handing you off and doing, the whole, do you take the Nikita to be your lawfully wedded, etc., etc. How cool would that? Wouldn't that be the best thing ever?
that would actually be a scene to be seen.
Absolutely. Listen, so we're going to try and make that happen. So I'm going to ask you a few simple questions. Before I delve into the deeper ones, just wanted to quickly ask you, you don't have to tell everyone your age, but I would love to know the age of the person you're interested in or age range.
Okay, well, I'm 31. I don't care. My age is my age.
Brilliant. That's what I love. I love to hear that.
Exactly. But anyone between, let's go a bit younger, so anyone between 30 to 40.
Okay, 30 to 40, that's a good range. I like that. Well, I want to ask you some bit more personal questions, right? So first thing I wanted to ask you was, tell us about the kind of person who would be your soulmate. So tell us about some of their qualities, what they would do, how they would treat you. We want to know everything that it would take for someone to be your soulmate.
Do you know what, Amit? I'm a chilled person. I go along with the flow, but my kind of person is, you know what? No drama. Don't need the drama. Leave that behind where you come from before. Just drama free. Have the chilled attitude. Be family orientated because I'm all about my family. Be able to mix in different crowds because I'm a kind of person that I've been in from school to university to doing events to everything that I've done. I've always had different crowds and I've maintained those different friend circles. So someone who'll be able to blend in all, not necessarily have to attend every social event because even I don't do that anymore myself. But
as we get older, right, we just stop doing that more as much.
But yeah, just someone who's traditional but has a modern outlook towards life. I don't want none of this like, oh, my wife can't do this after we get married. Oh, no, she can't go out. She can't have male friends. No, none of that. So, and because I'm the same as well, because you know what, like, in my past relationships with people I've been with, like, I've been very open about my exes or however you want to call them, having female friends. And I think it's healthy to have males and females to have opposite sex, which for people as friends, it's healthy.
Well said. I think that's very true and very, that for me, hearing you say that, it means you've got a very good head on your shoulders, and I think that's such pragmatic relationship advice to anyone as well, including yourself. So I say hear to that as well. Well done you, Nikita, for doing that and having that kind of attitude. So gentlemen, take note that you will have as many female friends as you like. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, right. Second question about yourself. Okay, so tell us one fun, quirky thing about yourself that not many people know about you.
One fun, quirky thing about me.
Yeah, maybe something you've never done before, you've always wanted to do, or something you have done that you've not told many people about.
Oh, Lord of mercy. Do you know what? It's not. I've never ridden a bike before, and I really want to do it. But it's just like every time it comes around to it, it's just like maybe next summer. So I'm hoping to do it one day. It's not a fun, quirky thing, but it's something about me. But a lot of people find it funny because they're like, "You've never ridden a bike before?" I'm like, "No."
Are you talking about a pedal bicycle?
And yes, I've had, like, when I was a child, I had ridden one with what's those little stabilizers, but not a two-wheeler ever.
Well, do you know what's really cool about this, right? One, I think this is such a romantic.
Someone could teach me how to ride a bike.
Exactly. I think this is quite a romantic thing, but also as well the memory aspect, because you know how they say you never forget when you first learn to ride a bike, right? So that will be a special memory as well. If you do that with someone who teaches you, just imagine that memory that you'll have, that you'll cement into your life, that your partner would have taught you how to ride a bike. How cool is that? I think that's really sweet, actually.
Exactly.
I think that could be the making of like something very special, like Bollywood-esque style, like Dilwale style kind of level of romanticism.
Can you imagine like a double? What's it called? What's the double bike board? Like the ones that are joined together.
Oh yes, I forgot. Oh, hang on a minute. The word's going to come to me as well. I'll come to me in a minute when I stop thinking about it. But I know exactly what you mean. A tandem. Yeah. That's it. A tandem.
That's it.
Yep.
Yeah. What are those ones?
Yeah.
I can sit at the back.
Yeah, I've done that with a partner who could never ride a bike before as well. So yeah, absolutely, I think that's a great idea. All right, two more questions, which we're going to just kind of find out a little bit more about you. Totally random, but we'll just give some idea about you. So your date wants to pick a movie for you to both go and see. What kind of movie choice would make you happy? Would it be sort of more like maybe Top Gun, Marvel? Or would it be something more romantic side of things?
Do you know what? I'm completely, because I think I got over the whole romantic phase in the whole Christmas time, because, you know, it's that whole snuggle season and everything. So I'm totally up for any kind of Marvel film, anything, action-packed, and, you know, anything with a good storyline, to be honest. So do you know, actually, anything with a good storyline, I'm down for, you know, yeah, that's it.
Sounds good to me. There you go, lads. A lady who would be up to watch a Marvel film as much as anything with a good story. I love it. Okay, last question for you, Nikita. Are you ready?
Go for it.
Okay, so then you're at a movie and your date decides to go buy you some ice cream and he says, I'm going to surprise you. What ice cream combination would he have to come back with for you to go, oh my God, I love you?
Oh, Lord have mercy. Oh, God. You know what? I'll pretty much be happy with anything, but if he got me, oh God, like a Ben & Jerry's like cookie dough ice cream with hot fudge sauce and whipped cream on top, dude, like that's the way to my heart. Like diabetes in the bowl, but hey, that's the way to my heart. You know, a good balance of like sweet, hot, cold, and a bit of, you know, everyone has a bit of cream anyway, but yeah.
Nice. I like it. Oh, that's so good. And to be honest as well, Ben & Jerry's even do like a vegan cookie dough and it is absolutely delicious. I love it. I love it.
You know what? I thought that as well, because I thought that, you know what? It might not taste as good because not all Jerry substitutes are good when it comes taste-wise, but I was actually quite surprised and very happy with it as well. So, yeah.
Ah, that's really cool. I like that. Well, listen, we have you sorted right now as well because we found out everything we need to know for about you. And so I'm going to say to the gentleman out there, if you like the sound of Nikita, she's looking for a lovely kind of traditional man with a modern outlook, up to about 30 to 40, who would be happy watching Marvel movies in the cinema with her. And if you bought her some cookie dough Ben & Jerry's, she would be putty in your hands, gentlemen. If you like the sound of that, I want you to drop me a WhatsApp right now, 07925 700 272, and I could put you two in touch. And who knows, you could be our first sunrise wedding. Wouldn't that just be awesome, Nikita?
That would be amazing.
Yeah, I will definitely be
on my head table.
Yeah, I would be your hitch, wouldn't I? You know, I'd have like a picture of you guys on my wall, and just I would be. Yeah.
I could have a stand especially for you. You know, like just for you to like, you know, give out your cards and everything. You know, they're like, dude, they did. If they can get me married, they can get anyone.
Absolutely right. But you have been absolutely awesome. You've been listening to Flirty at 8:30. It is time for the Couples Challenge. I have an amazing couple who are going to be joining me right this second as well, because we're going to do the Couples Challenge. How well do you know your partner?
It's time for the Couples Game. How well do you know your partner?
Welcome, Pritika and Suresh. Woo! How you guys doing?
Good. Thank you.
Excellent. Are you both there, by the way?
No, Pratik's just gone out of the room. Oh. But she's here. 1 second. Yeah, I'll get her.
I think she may have.
Amit,
there you go. Okay. Well, let me just reiterate. Both of you stay together for now, and then we'll decide who leaves the room. Okay, so you just stay there.
Okay.
Anyway, how are you guys?
Outside the room.
Oh, and you were waiting outside a little while ago as well, weren't you?
No, I went to a beer cupboard. To pick up a beer.
Nice. I like it. As you do as well. A bit of Dutch courage. Is that what it is, Suresh?
That's what it is, exactly.
I love it. Hey, listen, tell us a little bit about yourselves. When did you, because you guys have been together for 25 years, as I understand it.
Yeah, 25 years, man.
How have you survived, Suresh? Tell me.
I don't know. Really, nah. We've had a fantastic marriage. You know, we've had everything what I wanted in my marriage so far. Brilliant. 2 kids, excellent. And we've survived many ups and downs. My parents were with me up until about 10 years ago, and I've lost both my parents, but, you know, they gave me the Asirwad and everything for a good, happy marriage, and I've got the best wife ever.
Oh, that is just so sweet. And what a gentleman you are, my friend. And by the way, wait, like, how did you guys meet then? Was it like a kind of like a university romance? What was it?
We met in India.
Nice. Okay, cool.
He came over and dropped some parcels, and I was there. And we just clicked.
No way. Are you serious? That's like from a Bollywood film. Are you serious?
That's it. Yeah, that was a Bollywood movie.
Oh my God, how cool is that? What an amazing story. That is brilliant. I love it. Well, listen, 25 years. I think you guys probably know each other pretty well by now. But what we're going to do, how this works is only one of you will end up leaving the room, and we're going to ask the other person 5 questions. Then we call the other person back and see if they can get the answers their partner gave. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the question is, who's got the hard task and who's going to be the one leaving the room?
I'll leave the room.
Are you sure?
I want to know.
All right. Okay, cool. You want to see how well you know your partner? Okay, cool. So that means, right, Suresh, because it's your birthday, by the way, as well, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Happy birthday, my friend. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
54.
You don't sound it, my friend, at all.
Thank you.
You sound like a young whippersnapper, way younger than me. I love it. Okay, then. So, Pritika, whenever you're ready, leave the room, and then I will be asking, like I said, Suresh, 5 questions. So, just, Suresh, let me know when she's out of the room.
Yep, she's out of the room now.
All right, brilliant. And she cannot hear you, right?
Nope.
All right, cool, perfect. So 5 questions for you, very simple, very easy ones. It's not going to be that difficult, but here we go. First question is, what is your favourite naughty go-to snack?
My naughty go-to snack would be a chocolate bounty.
Ooh, nice. Do you know what? I'm a vegan, right? And they just made a chocolate vegan bounty as well. It tastes, but the other one that's much nicer is the topic. So tasty. Anyway, chocolate bounty. Good choice, though. My wife would agree with you on that one. She loves her bounties too. All right, question number 2. Would you, right now, obviously, I'm guessing it's going to be the latter, but just curious, right? Would you rather, right, if on the spur of the moment, a night on the town or a movie indoors, just a relaxing evening on the couch? What do you prefer?
A relaxing evening on the couch any day.
Oh, me too, my friend. I agree with you, especially after I hit my 40s, definitely. That was the truth.
Definitely.
Question number 3. I want you to tell me one thing that's on your bucket list, or like at the top of your bucket list, or very close to the top that you haven't done yet, but you really want to do.
I want to go and see Mauritius.
Oh, do you know what? That's where my wife and I went for our honeymoon, and you will absolutely love it, my friend. Right, Mauritius. When you do decide to go, give us a shout. I'll tell you all the cool places we visited, and you will absolutely love it.
Definitely. As soon as COVID's over, we'll definitely make the trip there, I think.
I love it. So you've mentioned a place in the world already, but I'm going to ask you a second question in relation to this, right? So where's another place in the world that you've yet to go that you would definitely love to next visit?
Cuba.
Ooh, I like it. It's one I've never been to as well. Great answer, my friend. And then last but not least, your favourite movie of all time. Now, it could be Hollywood, could be Bollywood, could be otherwise. What would you say is at the top of your list?
Sholay.
Classic. All-time classic. I love it. How well do you think Pritika's going to do at this, by the way?
She'll do okay, I think. She'll get 2 or 3, definitely.
2 or 3. All right. Let's do it then. Let's see how well she does. All right. So we are going to get her back into the room. Let's see how she does it. How well she does, should I say. All right. No worries.
Yeah. All right. You can come back.
All right. Well, while we wait for her anyway... you're listening to Sunrise Radio. This is the Sunrise Retro Weekend, and you're tuned to the Love Lounge, and we've got Pritika back on the phone as well. So I asked your lovely husband Suresh, whose birthday is today, happy birthday Suresh, 5 questions, and you've got to try and guess his answers. Are you ready, Pritika?
Yeah, I'm ready. And my name is Pratiksha, by the way.
Oh, is it Pratiksha? I'm so sorry. Hold on, wait. Let me just write. Okay, hold on, wait. I should have said it from right. Pratiksha. There we go.
Pratiksha, there's a K.
Pratiksha, right. Gotcha. Okay. I apologize, Pratiksha, but Pratika sounds pretty cool anyway. Right.
Okay, you can call me.
I'm kidding. All right, Pratiksha, let's do it. Question number 1, I asked to your lovely husband, Suresh. I said, what is his favourite naughty go-to snack? Like when he just got to have a perfect nibble on something, when he's just in that naughty, lazy mood. What would he normally eat and chew on?
Chew on from cupboard. Naughty is like chocolate.
Any particular kind?
Chocolate. His favorite is the bounty with coconut, which is coconut in it.
Yep, cool. All right, no worries. I'm going to give you the answers later, by the way, so we're not going to confirm yet if you got it. Yeah, we're going to confirm later whether you got it right or wrong. So, question number 2. Now, I asked him. I said, would you rather a night in, or like watching a movie, or painting the town red? What do you think he said?
He's not good at it DIY, so it's not that.
Oh no, like a night in watching a movie or something, rather than going out partying.
No, he lies on the sofa. And
he lies on the sofa. Being specific. Lads, we can always rely on the woman to give the truth. And when we pick it up and say something there, to mellow it out, they will always tell the truth. Anyway, okay, question number 3. Poor you, Suresh. Anyway, no, just kidding. Question number 3. So I asked Suresh to name one thing that was on his bucket list, or at the very top of his bucket list. What do you think he said?
Holiday?
Any particular location?
Any particular location? We've been in Thailand so many times, so maybe Mauritius.
Okay, no worries. We'll accept that answer, and then we'll go on to the next question. Question number 4. I asked him as well to mention one other place in the world that he's yet to visit, that he would love to go next. What do you think he said?
India?
Do you say India?
No, Kenya.
Oh, Kenya.
His
Okay.
birthplace.
Oh, Kenya, his birthplace. All right, cool. No problem at all. And we're on to question 5, last but not least. I asked him to name his favourite movie of all time, Hollywood, Bollywood or otherwise. What do you think he said?
He must say Sholay, because whenever Sholay is on, you can't watch anything else.
Oh, bless you.
Sholay.
Okay, that's...
Or Hollywood Go.
Yeah. No, that's okay. You've given an answer, which is perfect. Don't worry. So we're gonna let me just quickly tot up the score as well. But let me ask you before I reveal, Pratiksha, and I said it right this time. How well do you think you've done?
I don't know. Maybe 75% or
80% would be 4 out of 5, right? So let me just tot up the scores. This is quite complex math. I need to get out my incredibly powerful computer to work this out, calculate the scores. Okay, let's do a drum roll. You scored. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
You scored 4 out of 5. That's not bad at all, I have to say. That is very good. I think basically...
Where did I go wrong?
we could say that you know your partner very well. You did well because you got the first one right.
Oh my
Chocolate
God,
Bounty.
That's scary.
Night in, you said correct. Bucket list, you said Mauritius. The one that you got wrong, which is that he said for the next destination, he said Cuba and you said Kenya.
Ooh.
Nice, yeah.
Okay.
And of course, you got Chalet correct as well.
The next holiday is Cuba.
Yeah, so the question is, how is Suresh going to kind of show you his love for getting 4 out of 5 for him now? What is he going to do for you?
He has to take me Cuba.
I love That's brilliant. I love it. Oh my God, Suresh, what have you done?
That's it. I know where to go now.
Exactly. Well done to you guys. Honestly, that was absolutely brilliant. We're going to add this to the podcast as well later this week as well. How did you find that? Was that good fun?
Oh, very good fun. Thank you.
And would you recommend...
Once again.
Oh, brilliant. You're a superstar. Would you recommend to anyone else to take part in the Couples Challenge? Just tell everyone, the world out there, how much you guys, both of you, have enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll advertise on my WhatsApp group. Don't worry.
Brilliant. Listen, absolutely big well done to you both. Thank you for taking part. Once again, Suresh, a very happy birthday to you, my friend, as well. You guys sound so young, so energetic for a couple that have been together so long. And actually, I just wanted to say on that note, one last piece of wisdom from you both for 25 years of happily being together. What would you say to everyone out there?
Patience.
And don't agree anything what they say.
There you go. Thank you again to Pratiksha, and I was calling her Pratika the whole time as well. How silly of me. Pratiksha and Suresh, you guys are absolute superstars. Thank you so much for taking part. But you've been listening to The Love Lounge with the Love Doctor doing the Couples Challenge. How well do you know your partner?
Catch our love guru, Amit Sodha, between 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. every Sunday for that chill out zone.